can't come tonight, but they
All right, okay.
could upload it and they can then look at it later.
Can I just see how well you can see the screen? I'm going to share the screen with you, okay?
Okay, yeah. Sorry, hold on. Wait, I'll need to co-host you. Hold on. Go for it.
So I'm not going to have it on a video or anything all the time. So is it possible for us to move backwards and forwards from me to the... Okay, so I'm going to be sharing... hang on, just let me...
Anything you bung up on your screen will
you'll
come
see. Okay,
yeah.
So I mean, it's very simple presentation. Just a simple explanation of how we're structured for a start, which is quite complicated.
Yeah. I'm going to start letting people in because there's people starting to arrive.
Okay. In that case, I'll get out of this right now. Okay.
Well, see if you can have a go.
Well, we'll wait till everybody's there, shall we?
We can have a dry run. I'm sure Guy won't mind. Are we test run, guys? Ignore this if it goes all tits up.
Right, let's do that again then. So I just have to make sure it's full screen. So just a very brief explanation of who we are, how we're structured, because it's quite complicated, and also explaining what how a cooperative works and why we exist, basically. Where we are, a bit of what we do, and how big we are. And the rest actually just photographs, no statistics, nothing like that. So head office, one of our wineries. I hope this is not going to scare people off because this is who we are.
No, you just say you're big.
Yeah, we're big. Yeah, the queue of tractors here. That's probably Garganiga. And then just a little bit of an explanation of who we are, and then I'll bash on with the wines. Okay.
Great.
The three wines are right. Okay, that's the main thing. Tell me they're the right wines.
It's Castelforte, Garganega, Riondo, Prosecco, and the white label and the Ripasso.
Okay. And then I'm just going to introduce, okay, let's start with Prosecco, an idea of what the Prosecco area looks like. Vineyards, a bit of an explanation of the harvesting of Prosecco. And I haven't actually got a picture of the Glera here, but you know, it looks much like a lot of other white grapes. And then we can taste the Prosecco, and then we'll get on to Soave. This is Soave Castle, a bit of how it to Soave, where it grows and so on. Just the odd picture here of a bit of an explanation of the cultivation methods. And then I'm just going to go on to Valpolicella, where we are in Valpolicella. These are some of our vineyards here. The Corvina, a bit of an explanation, obviously, of the longest time I'm going to spend is going to be presenting the ripasso. So an explanation of the drying to make Amarone, and how it gets combined with the Valpolicella to make ripasso. But I'll pad it out as I go along. At the very end, if anyone is interested, I've got links to 2 videos that we could watch if anyone is interested, but I've left them to the end.
Fine, cool.
Okay.
Yeah.
So nothing too.
Do you want to have a go at sharing your screen just now with anything, and I'll tell you whether it's working.
Sure. Oh, I thought I was sharing my screen actually.
No, that's the. I thought you were just talking about it. No, you weren't.
Did you not see me concentrating on the screen?
No. Well, I thought you were reading shit. Didn't realize you were.
Okay, so share screen. Can you see that?
No.
Oh shit.
No.
Okay. Share screen. One participant can share screen. Multiple participants can share simultaneously. No. Yes? But even you can't see it. So
Yeah, it's one
share
participant at a time.
screen. So I do multiple.
You can do whatever you like. It should just be one.
Can you see that now?
Hold on. Here we go. Ronshan has
You are
started screen
sharing.
sharing. Yeah, but there's nothing there. Oh, here we go. Pictures of the bottles. There you go. Got them.
Yeah, okay, hang on a minute. Let me just make sure I've got it full.
It's in Italian. That doesn't help me.
Okay. So.
Yeah, that's
it's
fine.
very, so structure.
Yeah.
Where we are. Head office. Big.
Oh yeah, there you
winery.
Go. Perfect. Yeah, that's working.
The 3 bottles. This is Prosecco area, Prosecco vineyards. Bit of an explanation about the harvest. I'm going to explain we have hand harvesting and mechanical. What are the actual benefits of mechanical harvesting? And then we'll go on to this is Soave Castle, the Garganiga. So I'll be padding it as I go along, but
Perfect.
just to give a little bit of place. This is Garganiga. Yeah, this is Valpolicella, the east side of Valpolicella, the Corvina. The harvest, the drying facilities, the methods of drying, dried grapes actually look like when they're done, a bit about the aging, and then we'll have their 2 links at the end. Okay.
Perfect. Works now. Lovely. I'll tell you if it doesn't do it.
Yeah. Yeah, okay. So.
Oh, you can stop sharing now.
I can stop sharing now. Hold on a second. Stop share.
There you go. Done.
Okay. So how many
Flashing.
we're waiting for? You any idea how many we're waiting for?
Well, that's only not even 5-2, so
yeah.
There'll be, I don't know, there should be anything up to a dozen-ish folk thereabouts, but I think some
you
can't
know them
make
all.
it tonight.
You know them all personally.
Well, they're all customers who like your wines, so there's a few.
So they already know them then.
Yeah, I mean everyone is vaguely aware, I think. There'll be a few just watching the recording, so we'll edit the recording a little bit and we'll bung that out to those that can't make it tonight. So.
Yeah, sure. Sure. If you want me to send you the presentation afterwards, I can send you the presentation with the links. Up to you.
Lovely. Yeah. Yeah, I'm not sure we'll have time in the next couple of weeks to do it, but hopefully not.
No, this time of year you shouldn't have any time.
You shouldn't have any time. No.
Ideally. So, don't know. Do you want me to pop the prosecco now, or wait?
Pop my prosecco.
Or should we do it simultaneously?
No. Oh. Perfect. Oh, good noise. That could be double.
Okay.
Cheers.
Cheers, Richard.
How long have you been in Italy now?
23
years.
Italy for 20, 20, no, sorry, no, 30, 2 years, 30 something, 30 something
No, it can't be
years.
32.
20, I must have been 24 when no, 30, 29 years, yeah,
29
something like
years.
that. I was 24 when I moved here, so.
Well, was it March? Will be 22 years since I set up Great Grog. And they did 10 years in Oddbins before that. So
Yeah.
Are
you in touch with any of the old crew?
Oddbins wise, Stuart Nicol, do you remember him?
Yeah.
He was in the other day, last week actually. He's he looks pretty fit, but he had a mini stroke about a month ago. So, but he's back to normal. But he said he woke up in the middle of the night with a numb arm and went down to a chemist in the morning, and they said you need to go to A&E. I said I wake up with a numb arm every bloody night.
Yeah,
so it's
getting
like
to that age, Richard.
getting to that age where if I don't roll around a lot in the night. So, but yeah, he had a mini stroke. He's looking fit and well. He's back to. So there you go. So that's the last person I've seen ex-Oddbins.
Yeah, I used to come across some of them at the odd tasting here and there. Even Malcolm Ogilvie and all the old crew occasionally.
But I think wine importers are not doing very well because they are pretty much 100% trade, and the trade is all shut here.
Yeah.
So, but hopefully, touch wood, Nicola will let us go down to tier 2, which means that restaurants and pubs could open at least till 6 or 7 o'clock at night, maybe 8 o'clock. And that would enable decent restaurants to open because all the Michelin restaurants are shut. And people are not going to be jumping up and down and dancing on the tables in Michelin restaurants. But Tom Kitchen and Martin Wishart and all the folk that we supply, they can't open. So, and they're losing money massively. So anyway, so
you're doing takeaways. Has it been quite successful with takeaway?
Some are doing okay, like Wedgwood's doing really well. Six by Nico's another one that's doing really well. Paul Wedgwood on the high street. We sell a bit of wine to him, but it's a fraction, wine wise of what they'd normally take. It's 1/10 maybe. So no, it's not ideal. But hopefully next week we might get a slight relaxation because compared to Italy, we're doing fantastically here. I'm afraid.
Yeah, no, Italy's not doing very well at all, I'm afraid. But it's region by region because the regions that had it badly before in March, like Veneto, where we are not so bad now. In fact, we've never gone into another total lockdown since then. We've got restrictions. The restaurants are only serving lunch and there's a nighttime curfew and so on, but nothing compared to some of the other regions. They're having their first wave now, really, and we're on a second wave here.
So where's your main
but still,
markets?
It's not good. We've got a lot of.
How are your markets doing, like the States and stuff?
Our biggest market. Oh, well,
You've
our
disappeared.
biggest market is in
you're
Scandinavia.
back. Scandinavia, is it?
Yeah. Yeah, Sweden and Norway are our biggest markets because we supply the state monopolies, and they have never shut. They've kept their shops open. They've been struggling a bit because they've been overwhelmed, but the state monopolies have kept open. Our second biggest, well, let's say Sweden's our first, the US is our second, Norway's our third. This year, Norway's overtaken the US because our US, we do have, hang on, I've got Katrina who keeps.
There she is.
Yeah. Yeah, so, and then Denmark, so really a lot of Scandic countries and the US, but the Far East and Russia are growing really, really strongly for us as well.
How does the UK rank?
We also we supply also private labels for some of the multiples. So that they've been doing really well. Obviously, that's where the big quantities go. But the rest of the UK is on trade. So with our own labels, it's been difficult. Yeah. But at least in the UK, we've got a mix of multiple supermarkets and so on, and that we do private labels for, and that's saved us. In other countries, we're 100% on trade, like France and Belgium, and there it's been a disaster. But still,
Right.
Paul opening all his wines there.
Hi, Paul. Should we? I think that's just past 7. So I will do a little bit of chat, introduce you. If that's all right, everyone. I think most people are here. Anyone can rock up late if they want to. Welcome along, everyone, to this beautiful, cold Thursday evening. Well, I'm in Edinburgh, but Claire's in Veneto, which I'm sure is boiling hot. Probably not, actually. Is it cold there?
No, it's cold here too. It's cold.
Right.
It's down to 0. It's freezing. The past few nights have been freezing. We get very cold here sometimes.
Yeah, so do we. So do we. So it was snowing last night. But,
we get like -18 sometimes on the plains of Veneto.
All right.
Sometimes. Yeah.
So everyone, if you'd like to open your fizz, if you haven't already, because there's nothing worse than a bit of chat without some fizz in front of you.
Cheers, everybody. Welcome. Thank you for taking time this Thursday evening to come and taste our wines with us.
So just to quickly introduce Riondo, Claire came past the warehouse probably about 4 or 5 years ago, 4 years ago, 5 years ago, thereabouts, and introduced the wines. And you were slightly represented in Scotland, but not very much represented as far as, well, I hadn't bumped into your wines much in Scotland. So we decided to take them on, and we're doing probably 3, 4, 5 pallets of wine a month from this range, the Castle 40 range and the Lunardi range. So what I've done, if you would like to buy any of these wines afterwards, I'll put 10% on all of the wines. So that's all the Castle 40s and all the Lunardis, the Berti Spumanti, the Proseccos, all have got 10% off. I was counting the Amaronis and the Reserve Amaroni, the Rapasso, all of them. So I was counting there's about 12 wines we've currently got in stock from here. So all of them have got 10% off. The code is Riondo, as in what is on the middle of the label there. So Rio, as in de Janeiro, NDO, Riondo. So if you type that in as your coupon code, you'll get 10% off all of these wines. So that's my sales pitch. I'll repeat that at the end, just if there's any last minute entrance. Without much further ado, I'll shut up. Richard's shutting up now. I'll mute myself. If anybody's got any questions, there's a chat button down the bottom. If you go down to the bottom of the black screen, there's a little chat thing there. And if you've got any questions, Claire will have a look at them. If she doesn't spot them, I'll see them and I'll ask them. Without much further ado, I'll hand over to Claire. So Claire is really tricky to understand because she's Scottish. So there's any mystery. She's been in Italy for many years, so she's kind of Scottish Italian. So there you go, Claire. I've introduced you. We used to work together many years ago.
Yes, I think anyone that listened to us before you started presenting would have worked out that we've known each other. I'm Claire Ronkson. from Edinburgh. I had thought about pretending to be Italian and faking an Italian accent to give some kind of authenticity, Italian authenticity to the tasting, but you know, buonasera a tutti. But I thought, you know, they're not going to fall for it. So you get my Edinburgh accent, which I've never got rid of. I've been, Richard and I used to work in odd bins a long time ago, 30 years ago, Richard. And we were bitten by the wine bug a long, long time ago, and you never get out alive once you're in the wine trade. So here we are, all these years later, still working in the wine trade. I've been in Italy for 29 years now. Always worked in the wine trade, so from acting as an agent for Italian wine producers to taking tourists round the winemaking areas. I've lived in Sardinia, worked in a winery in Sardinia, and then moved to Veneto, to Verona, where I've been living and working ever since. Now I work for one of the largest producers in the Veneto region. If you don't mind, I'll just share my screen with you, and I'll just give you a brief introduction of who we are. Hold on a second. Worked before, so should work again. Okay, screen. Voila.
You're
Appear shortly.
there you go. You're nearly starting.
Can you see this?
Nearly. I think your internet's pretty garbage in Italy, I'm sorry to say. It's a bit low bandwidth. I've had better
Probably
internet.
where I live.
Is it?
Yeah, because I live in Valpolicella.
There we go. We're in.
Okay. Can you hear me? That's the main thing.
Yeah, you sound like a Dalek, but it's fine.
Oh, I'm sorry about that. Yeah. So, Cantine Riondo is the name of the company. Cantine because we're actually more than one winery. Cantine is plural. Riondo is the name of the hill where our head office is. So who are we? Cantine Riondo, is one of the biggest wine producers in Veneto, and we are a company owned by a group of cooperatives. So basically our bosses are the farmers. The farmers own us, and all our profits get shared with the farmers. We have two main large cooperatives. Like most cooperatives, they were started in the 1950s and 1960s. These two were started in the 1950s, which was part of a post-war economic package to drag Italy out of poverty. And cooperatives became a reality post-war. A lot of Italians were on the breadline, living as peasant farmers, and it was no longer sustainable. And the cooperatives came into being to help these farmers to a better lifestyle and establish connections with the market and open them up to modern technology and give them a way to continue their farming lifestyle. Otherwise, they would have been forced to give up farming altogether because they could no longer survive. It was no longer sustainable. So these two wineries look after the farmers. The farmers are owner members of these two cooperatives. These cooperatives
disappeared. Hello, Claire. Richard here.
All their grapes
Oh,
owns 100% Cantina Riondo. We also own a major share in Casa Vinicola Sartori. Can you hear me? I see it says my internet connection is unstable. We also own a major share in Casa Vinicola Sartori, which is a big brand that you'll see also in the UK, and another big bottling company called Cielo e Terra. But we're today talking about Cantina Riondo. We are the bottling, marketing and sales arm of Collis, the bigger group. Now, considering that these farmers are our boss, so the man on the tractor is my boss. I live here in Valpolicella. I'm surrounded by them. We have a large area of vineyards, over 13,000 acres of vineyard. That's 6,000 hectares, 13,000 acres, and it spreads all through Veneto. Here, Veneto is the region up here in the northeast of Italy, and this is Veneto. Here would be Lake Garda, Venice over here, so this is the Adriatic. This would be Friuli here, and Trentino Alto Adige up to the north here. Now our vineyards spread from Lake Garda all through Valpolicella area here, to Soave, which is where we have our headquarters, just near Soave. This is an area of plains where we produce a lot of Pinot Grigio, Merlot, and so on. And here is where we have our Prosecco vineyards. So we have a huge extension of vineyards covering the provinces of Verona, Vicenza, and Padua. These 13,000 hectares are looked after by 1,900 farmers, and they are the boss. All in all, we control 10% of production of the whole of Veneto and 2% of the entire production of Italy. 2% doesn't sound a lot, but Italy produces a lot of wine. As I say, we produce from Valpolicella, including Amarone Pasto, Soave, Prosecco, obviously, and Pinot Grigio, Merlot, also Chardonnay, and so on. So we're very, very important players on the market. This is our head office here in just near Soave. This is Monte Riondo, just behind our head offices. We're a modern company. Although the cooperatives were established in the 1950s, Collis didn't actually get formed as a group until 2008, and Riondo in 2010. So they're recent organizations that helped to bring the cooperatives together. As I was saying before, our markets are mainly international. I think 90% of what we sell is exported. Scandinavia, USA, Far East, and Europe and Russia increasingly are our main markets. Here, this is, I said we were big, and this is one of our big wineries. In reality, there are 5 wineries, 2 of them which are very large. This is one of the larger ones. Here you can see a queue of tractors probably delivering Garganiga here during the harvest. So this is our dimensions. It's not easy controlling all those farmers, but I think we do a good job. We manage to keep them under control quite well. We have a group of agronomists that work with the farmers all year round and tell the farmers when they can harvest, when to do any treatments, generally how to handle their vineyard. Our farmers can have anything from half a hectare, so what's that, not even an acre, anything up to several hundred hectares. So they're also very different kinds of people in our company. We've got the very small farmer up to the aristocratic landowner. So a very mixed bag of farmers that we're keeping together. So I would get on and start to taste one of our wines. So today we've got the Riondo Prosecco, Castelforte Garganega, not Garganega. It's a very common mistake, and the Castelforte Valpolicella Ripasso.
Garganega. Oops, Claire's disappeared a moment.
Before I go the Prosecco, it's a varied area. It spreads from hills, such as this area, very, very picturesque, right on to rolling plains. These are the Glera vines, and right down onto vast plains, which are a huge extended area. Prosecco is actually one of the biggest areas in the Veneto. When you consider that 360 million bottles of Prosecco produced every year, that's a wide area. So actually, I can just come back to you so you can see me again, and then I can go back to this afterwards. Okay, can you see me?
Yeah.
Right.
The wine number one, the Prosecco.
Yes, so the wine number one, the Prosecco. Now we are not, you'll obviously be aware that there are different areas within Prosecco. There's the Cartizze, there's Prosecco di Treviso. There are various areas within the Prosecco. Ours is actually, we only have vineyards in the generic Prosecco area, which is the more widespread area, not the traditional historic area. This Prosecco Spumante is made from 85%.
Oops, sorry, I've accidentally clicked on you. Sorry. Demute yourself, Claire.
Mute, yes. The host
sorry about that.
me.
I was trying to bloody mute myself. Terribly sorry. I was very stupid. I'll mute myself now.
Okay. So this is 85% Glera grape, 15% other grapes, mainly Chardonnay, some Pinot Bianco, and Pinot Grigio, but mainly Glera and Chardonnay. It's a fully sparkling, extra dry. So extra dry always causes confusion on the market because it actually has got quite a bit of residual sugar. It's got 14 grams per litre of residual sugar. A Brut would have up to 12 grams per litre, and then you would start with extra dry. So Brut is drier.
I didn't know you were allowed Pinot Grigio in Prosecco. Up to what percent?
It could be 15% is the maximum. It could be 15% Chardonnay together with Glera, 15% Pinot Bianco, or 15% Pinot Grigio, or even 15% Pinot Noir in the blend.
So it's the max is a 15% of other grapes apart from the Glera.
Yeah.
Right.
Exactly. Okay. Exactly. So the Glera grapes are grown on the plains there in the Vicenza province. We have vineyards in the hills and also vineyards on the plains. The vineyards in the hills are hand harvested, and the vineyards on the plains, those vast straight lines that you saw, are mechanically harvested. Now, mechanical harvesting is always a bit demonized, but it actually has a lot of benefits. When you've got a wide area of one single variety, and you want to get that variety in, that grape in, all at optimum ripeness, you can't have people going on for days and days hand harvesting. You need to get them all in at optimum ripeness. And mechanical harvesters do that job beautifully. Mechanical harvesters also do a wonderful job of harvesting at night when the grapes are cooler. And for a white grape variety, harvesting at night when they're cool is the best thing you can possibly do to preserve the aromas, especially for semi-aromatic grapes like Glera. So mechanical harvesting is actually one of the best solutions for a white grape like Glera in this case. The grapes are brought in by our farmers on their tractors. A sample is taken of each tractor. The quality level is decided. The farmers get a premium on their price. If the one-time night shift might be okay, thank you, Guy. The
Lost
the
your
farmers
train
are
of
given a
thought now.
premium. Yeah, I did. Sometimes he's distracted me.
Can I just say, on the hand harvesting versus machine picking, I did an essay on that for my MW about
Yes.
22 years ago, and it
Yeah.
was the pros and cons of machine versus hand harvesting.
And you
And
remember that, do you?
oh God, and 2 years ago, I was in Burgundy, and I was in the south around Santenay,
Mm-hmm.
and it was September time, and I picked some grapes in the field just kind of randomly as I was driving along the road, and ate the grapes. And I said, "These are absolutely fantastic," but they had booked their pickers for the week after, so they didn't have any pickers that week because
Yeah.
the Portuguese pickers were moving up and they were coming up through and they were
That's
doing Beaujolais that week, whereas they
yeah,
should have been doing Santenay, but of course
yeah,
they couldn't get any pickers.
yeah.
So actually, hand picking's a nightmare.
Yes, it
You don't
is.
get the pickers at the right time. If
It
the weather, you
is.
have to book the pickers
Uh,
months before you actually pick.
you
And of
do.
course, if it gets warm, you scun it, as to use an
Yeah,
expression. So
exactly.
actually,
Exactly. I
hand
actually love
harvesting's
to
a
see them.
nightmare.
Yeah, it can be. It can be. Obviously, there are some vineyards on difficult hill slopes that you need to have hand harvesting, and afterwards we'll see that some kinds of pruning can, some kinds of training of vines, they can only be, you have to plant your vines in a certain manner to be able to be machine harvested. And when they plant the vineyard, they plant it in the knowledge that it's going to be machine harvested. So you have to start from your vineyard from zero and decide this is going to be a machine harvested vineyard. It's low, it's straight lines. Yeah. Anyway, I love to see the machine harvesters moving along the lines. I think it's great, and it doesn't do the damage that people think. Um, so the farmer that's delivering grapes, this is valid for any of our grapes, he gets a premium for higher sugar levels, which usually goes hand in hand with better quality, and he gets penalized. He gets a lower price if the grapes are not up to standard. On the basis of that initial analysis, basically there's an arm comes out, takes a little sample of the juice of the must, and analyzes it immediately, there and then, on the spot. So you get a complete analysis of the potential wine that's going to come out of that must from each tractor. And on the basis of that, it's decided which route this load of grapes, this tractor load of grapes, should go through the winery, which vat it should be put into, and what its final destination is going to be. Each tractor gets a barcode, and that barcode follows through the system all the way to the bottling. and the sale of the bottle. So when we sell a bottle, we can, through the barcodes, we can trace it all the way back to which vats it's been in, which fermentation tanks it's been in, which farmer delivered, and on which day, which vineyard it came from, and what treatments were done in the vineyard. And we also need to do all this. I mentioned to you that we supply some supermarkets and we supply state monopolies. That means that we're very tightly controlled. We get audited all the time. We have to meet all sorts of stringent regulations, and one of them is the tracing of one bottle of wine all the way back to the farmer and the vineyard it came from. And when you've got, Riondo alone produces 20 million bottles of wine a year, and that's just part of the group. So when you're producing 20 million bottles and you have to trace 20 million bottles back to 1,900 farmers, it's a huge task. But we're organized to be, and that gives the guarantee to the consumer, not only the importer but the consumer. These Galera grapes, in this case, they get picked only at a certain time. We decide when they should be picked on the basis of the analysis that our agronomists have done in the winery. They all get picked within a certain range of time, and the farmers have to deliver within that certain range of time. The grapes are then cold macerated, and then we have a natural fermentation in stainless steel tanks, some of those big tanks that you saw in the photograph earlier. 16 degrees, so quite a low temperature of fermentation for Glera. The wine then gets stored until we're ready to do the sparkling fermentation. The sparkling fermentation, this is a Charmat method of sparkling fermentation, or Martinotti as it's called in Italy. This is a fermentation inside pressurized stainless steel tanks. It's not the bottle, inside a tank. The sparkling fermentation in this particular wine goes on for 1 month. The longer you do the sparkling fermentation, the secondary fermentation, the more fine a perlage you get, usually, and also depends on the yeast that you select. So 1 month of sparkling fermentation under pressure until you reach the ideal pressure, which in this case for a sparkling wine is 5 bars of pressure. So fully sparkling. Prosecco. Why do people like Prosecco so much? Why do British people adore Prosecco? It's just such a democratic bubbly, I think, exceedingly democratic bubbly. It's unpretentious party bubbles. It can be very serious. We do make some more serious Prosecco, but this is our more frivolous Prosecco. So extra dry, but you can taste it's got a little bit, slightly bit of sweetness on the palate. Should be very cold, served very, very cold. Depends on the market. In America, they serve it extremely cold and put ice in it, and we make a version for them with even more sugar. The typical aromas of a Prosecco are ripe apple, pear. I don't know if any of you are getting that. Anyone getting apples and pears?
Elderflower.
Elderflower, yeah. Actually, here it's probably not something you smell a lot in the UK, but acacia blossom, which here we have a lot of, but maybe not so much in the UK. acacia blossom.
I mean, it's
Peach,
nice stuff.
elderflower.
We sell, a pallet or two of this a month, and it goes, really well. But a lot of it is through our restaurant trade, which is shut at the moment. Um, I think we sell
I know.
more on trade than we do off trade.
Yeah.
People in the off trade might trade up a little bit and maybe go for cremants or champagnes, but in the on trade, the eye-watering markups in restaurants, people don't drink champagne, but they want a glass of fizz, hence they end up with prosecco. So I
Yeah,
think
I
that's
know, I know.
the primary
Thank you,
reason we
Guy.
sell so
Lovely
much.
jubbly. So, now, of course, it's the ultimate party wine, Prosecco, but it also is quite versatile. I mean, here in Italy, they would serve it. Prosecco's a massive area. It goes from where we are in Vicenza right across the north of Venice, right across way to the north of Venice. So it's a massive, massive, massive area. Of course, in Venice, they would serve it with fish, shellfish especially. It's got that sweetness that goes quite well with prawns, with shellfish, mussels. And here they also serve it with fruit desserts. That little bit of sweetness and freshness matches quite well with various fruit desserts. Um, what do you serve it with, Richard, or do you not drink prosecco? Tell me
No, I
honestly.
drink prosecco, but it's generally by itself or in the garden. So it's quite tricky when it's
Yeah,
0 degrees outside and dark.
yeah,
it's it's more associated, I think, with a summer barbecue warmer upper.
Temple and gorgonzola cheese. Yeah, that's a nice one because it's got that little bit of sweetness and acidity that cuts well through your gorgonzola. Yeah, that's a good one. Yeah, yeah, I would agree. Excellent. Anyone else? Anyone want to ask any questions about Prosecco or
You've done a
nobody?
pretty
No
comprehensive.
curiosity? San Daniele ham. Thank you, Katrina. Yes, absolutely. Yeah, that's another one. It's before a meal with various salted almonds is another one with prosecco. Salted almonds. Fried sage leaves. Oh, there's a good one. Have you ever had fried sage leaves? It goes really well with yeah, they're dipped fried sage leaves. They're quite popular here because it has got a slightly herbal uh, note to it as well. You could imagine it with sage, couldn't you? Okay. How it is to live in Italy. Ah, and
As long as you don't rely on the broadband connection.
oh, is it bad? Is it
No, no,
is
no. It's
no,
okay. It's okay.
I
I've
live
seen
I live
worse.
out no, I because I live out in the countryside. How's it to live in Italy? Um, here in Veneto, and this relates to the wine as well. I miss the wind in it. I miss the wind of Scotland. We don't get much wind here unless there's going to be a storm. The weather, of course, is much hotter in the summer, but it can get much colder in the winter. Uh, Certainly, having warm summers is a great benefit. I mean, you can have your prosecco out on the terrace in the sun without having to worry too much about your plans being scuppered or your picnic ending up sitting in the car or all those usual Scottish scenarios that we're all familiar with. So yes, it has its benefits. Italy is beautiful, of course. It's a lovely area. Can be very frustrating, especially when you're impatient and you like things to be done quickly. I can't believe I missed the wind. Yeah, I miss the wind. Sometimes we go for days on end with a total lack of weather from my point of view. Just no weather at all. Just constantly the same every day. And the other day it got wet and windy for the first time for weeks, and I was quite excited about it. All the Italians were complaining, and I was thrilled. Felt like being back home. Yeah, but it's pros and cons. I do miss Scotland. You know, I'd like to take all the good bits of Italy and all the bits I miss about Scotland and put them together. But c'est la vie. Right. So, cheers to you all with your prosecco. And now we'll get on with our Garganega, Richard.
Yeah, so I always mispronounce it. I'm sorry about that.
I know everybody does. Garganega is quite a natural.
Garganega.
So I'm going to share. Yeah, it's Garganega. So I'm going to go back and share. Now, Garganega, not much known as a grape variety in itself, but many of you will be aware that it's the main grape used in Soave, of course. Usually with Trebbiano di Soave or other varieties. This wine that we're tasting today, let me pour myself a glass.
So where's that picture of the castle place?
This wine, this is Soave. This is il Castello di Soave, which is a beautiful medieval castle. Soave is a medieval castle on the hill and is actually a walled town. It's a lovely little town. This is in the hills, and as you see, then it sweeps out onto the plains. So Soave has grown. This is the Soave Classico area, round about Soave itself. And then Soave again is a huge area, and it extends out onto the plains in all directions. And Soave and Valpolicella actually cross for quite a significant area. And that's where we have our vineyards, where Valpolicella and Soave cross. So this is the Castello Medievale, the medieval castle of Soave. Now the Garganega, poor Garganega. Such an underestimated grape variety. Of course, the Soave producers have done it to themselves, as is often the case. The producers have been responsible for bringing down Soave, bringing down the perception of the quality of Soave in the world. Unfortunately, Soave can be a great wine. Garganega is a fantastic grape variety. I think when Richard and I used to work in Oddbins, Soave was probably the 1.5 litre bottle on the lower shelf. Apart from a few well-known families, Pra and Selmy and so on, that kept the quality flag flying. Unfortunately, Soave was reduced to that. Now, Soave was one of the, before big brands, Soave was a big brand in itself. Soave was made popular by one man in the world, and he was responsible for its rise in popularity to its peak and then to its demise. The popularity of Soave is due to Frank Sinatra. Frank Sinatra, Soave was his favorite wine. Soave Bolla was his favorite wine. Frank would not go and sit in any restaurant in New York or anywhere else unless he was served with his glass of Bolla Soave. It became so popular, he made it so popular that everybody started producing Soave. Everybody wanted Soave. It was the first big brand in America, and under pressure to keep up with the consumption, they extended the Soave region to a massive, massive area. Everyone got on board the Soave train, and as happens when things get overpopular, the quality started to decline. So 1950s, Soave was huge, thanks to Frank. He then, he obviously moved on to other wines at some point, but the popularity of Soave kept going. With the increase in production, the Garganega variety tends to overproduce if you allow it to. It's a very prolific grape variety. If you let it, it will produce lots of grapes, but that doesn't, it's not conducive to quality. To keep your Garganega or your Soave high quality, you need to prune it really hard and treat it really aggressively to keep it under control and keep the yields under control. This wasn't done during the 1960s, 1970s, and the quality of Soave just dropped until it reached the status of the 1.5 litre bottle on the bottom shelf in the 1980s. And it's still struggling with its image even now. It's never recovered. It's such a pity. It's got so much more character than most Pinot Grigio that I can think of. It also ages well. It can age well. Garganega can age well. I've tasted old Garganega. It ages a bit like a Chablis. It's an absolutely classic wine. It's got great acidity, lots of character, a nice mineral note. Now, so Garganega, this is...
sorry, Claire, to interrupt. You're still on screen share. You're not. We're not seeing your beautiful visage.
Okay, Garganega. So there's Soave.
Right.
This is, they see the hills spreading out onto the plains here. This is the Garganega grape variety, a loosely hanging bunch. It's a very late ripener. After a lot of the red grape varieties are in, they're still picking. Now here's an example. It's hand harvested, Garganega. And this is why, because it's grown on this high vine called a Pergola Veronese. And this Pergola Veronese, it's grown up high and the grapes hang underneath the canopy of leaves. And that actually protects it from the heat of the sun. It's a late variety, so it's kind of open to a lot of extreme heat or rather unpredictable weather conditions as we move into mid-autumn. And the canopy of leaves above the Garganega protect it, but that means you can't hand harvest it. It needs to be you can't machine harvest, sorry. It needs to be hand harvested. Vineyards tend to mix alluvial soil, but also outcrops of volcanic soil on the hills. Soave itself, the hill Soave, the hill Monteforte, they're all conical shaped hills because there was volcanoes. That's volcanoes, and that volcanic region soil gives mineral character to Soave and Garganega. You sometimes get a bit of a bit of slight saltiness and mineralness on the end of the wine, which comes from the volcanic soil. This is 2019 vintage, which was, how was it as a vintage? Let me think. For Soave, fairly thick, not as much as the year before. Garganega, if you let it overproduce 1 year, it'll give you not very much the next. That's the way it works. This is Garganega, so from the Verona area. But it is actually the same vineyards as Soave. It comes from exactly this vineyards of the new site where Soave aren't given to Garganega. It's got a bit of residual sugar. Why is that? Because there's been a careful section of grapes left on the vines.
I think we're losing you, Claire. Hello, Claire. Edinburgh calling Claire.
Hello?
Hello, you're back. Your connection seems to be fading a little bit. Yeah, I think we've lost Claire.
hear me?
She seems to be disappearing again.
Can you hear me now?
Sorry.
Did you lose me?
Can you turn your video off, Claire? And we'll
Yeah.
just do the last wine without video, just audio only. Should we go with that? You can just do it on your kind of little thing. I think your videos, I'd rather just listen to you.
Okay.
Drop your video
Can you
out.
hear me now? Yes?
Yeah, that's better.
Yeah, yeah, okay. Can you hear me more clearly then?
Much better. You
Okay.
let's do the last wine just on audio, I think.
Okay. Well, I was saying that did you get where
Volcanic
I was
soils.
explaining why why it has a little higher uh, slightly higher sugar level?
No,
Did you
hit
get
me with
that
that.
bit?
So I got hand harvested
Okay.
volcanic soils,
Yeah.
pergolas, protection from the
Yes.
sun,
That's right.
all hand
Okay.
harvested
And then
small
I was
berries.
that's right. Okay, this it actually has quite a little bit of residual sugar, 7 grams per liter. This is because we leave it on the vine for about a week longer than the Suave. It's not late harvest. As I said, I can't say it's a late harvest, but it is left for a bit longer on the vine. They're very mature grapes. So that gives you this this extra slightly sweetness and a more tropical fruit on the nose than a Suave. Again, it's a cold maceration of the grapes, gentle pressing, fermentation at 18 degrees, so still quite cool. And then it's fined in stainless steel. It doesn't see any wood for the initial fining. It's it's etched in stainless steel on the lees with some batonnage. Can you hear me? Yeah,
Yes,
yeah. So
no, I'm listening.
some
No,
batonnage. Okay, with some batonnage,
but
which is quite
batonnage,
rare for.
for those of you not come across batonnage, it's lifting the dead yeast cells off the bottom of the tank, and then they spread throughout the barrel or tank, and they give flavor. So they give a kind of yeasty textural. They give a texture to the wine. That is fantastic wine for £7, by the way. It is absolutely
Yeah.
brilliant for £7. Are you there, Claire?
So, yes, I
Yes.
am. Sorry.
Good. Sorry, I was
Um,
speaking. Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you. I was just
no, 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 no,
raving
no,
about the
no, no. I
wine.
heard you. Heard you. So the wine again, compared to most Suave, you'll find it's more of a rich. It's got a richness to it that comes from both the slightly late harvesting and the batonnage. Also, it's a specific selection of yeast, which brings out the ripe tropical fruit flavors of the Garganega. Now, to finish it off, though, we store it in large wood 3 months. We don't want it to develop a woody character. It's stored in very large wood for 3 months. At least part of the wine is part of it. So it's got very intense perfumes of almond blossom, citrus, vanilla. It develops. This is 2019, so it's had quite a bit of bottle age as well for a white wine. We'll be bottling 2020 at the beginning of the year. So this is quite developed. It's developed more of a bready character and tropical fruit character. Hints of a slight hint of vanilla there as well, and a little clean mineral finish, again from the volcanic soil. Quite a versatile wine, I think, and as you say, really good value for the price. And its sister wine is the Corvina Veronese, which you're not tasting today. But it's like its sister wine from the Valpolicella area, and it is equally good value for money.
It's fantastic, absolutely fantastic. Also £7, £7 and 5 pence, minus 10% discount, £6.30 is unbelievable stuff. Stick that in Lidl's pipe and smoke it.
Yeah. And that's what Garganiga can do, and it can do more. Garganiga can do a lot. So we're just hoping that people get sick fed up with Pinot Grigio and start looking for something new, because we are a huge producer of Soave and Garganiga. Although we do also have a lot of Pinot Grigio, it's time to go back and find out what Frank thought was so good about Garganiga. There.
Thank you very much. Should we do the red?
Let's do the red.
Let's crack on.
Now, if I can, I'm going to start presenting the red, but then I'd like to show you some of the presentation. So I'll put my video back on again shortly. Hopefully
if it cracks up, I will let you know.
All right, because the best way to explain the production here is also to show you some of the pictures, to be honest.
Right, but I'd prefer to listen to you than.
Okay. I'll show you afterwards then.
The dulcet tones.
So, as I said, that our vineyards in the Valpolicella area are actually in the same part of the same area as Soave. What you often find is Soave on the plains and Valpolicella grown in the hills. We have about 200 farmers in the Valpolicella area, and we're at the most eastern part of Valpolicella, not the Classico area, but further away from Lake Garda, and it's warmer. It's warmer than the Classico area, and that makes the wines more rounded, softer, and ready to drink when they're younger. Classical wines can be a bit more austere, but we have softer wines. This is Valpolicella Ripasso. The area is Valpolicella. Ripasso is the technique, is the production technique. The vineyards are, again, the grapes are grown on high pergolas, and it's hand harvested from the hills. The soil's thin red clay over limestone, anything from 200 up to 500 meters above sea level. Now, the grape varieties here are 60% Corvina, 30% Corvinone, and anything we declare it as 10% Rondinella, but it's probably 8% Rondinella and 2% mysterious others. The mysterious others are because these very old grape varieties are grown in the vineyards alongside the Corvina, Corvinone and Rondinella, but the farmer doesn't actually have a very clear idea quite often of what he's got growing in his vineyard. There might be the odd the farmer has mostly Corvina, but he knows that his grandfather had some Oseletta or Molinara or Negrara or Croatina, these old grape varieties. His grandfather had some, and they're still there somewhere. So there is a small percentage of these autochthonous varieties. Ripasso, you probably have read about how it's made. It's basically fresh Valpolicella that's been poured over the grape skins of left over from Amarone production. The Amarone having been made from dried grapes. So ripasso means passed over again. So it's Valpolicella passed again over Amarone grape skins. Each of the varieties, they're indigenous varieties, and each adds something to the blend. But the older varieties have been kind of abandoned over the years because one didn't have a good color, the other was too acidic. I'll give you more details on the production of how it's produced now, the ripasso. So these are the grape varieties: Corvina, Corvinone, Rondinella, and various others, which can include also Cabernet, believe it or not, although not so often used. So Valpolicella Ripasso is somewhere between light fruity Valpolicella and your rich alcoholic structured tannic Amarone. It gives you a little bit of the best of both worlds. So it's a more versatile wine really than Amarone, which can be difficult to sit down and drink more than a glass of, but a little bit more enticing than a Valpolicella, more structured. So the Valpolicella grapes are hand harvested. What you might not realize is that Valpolicella, Ripasso, and Amarone all come from exactly the same vineyards. There is a maximum yield of Amarone that you're allowed to produce from your vineyard. The farmer's only allowed to produce a certain quantity of Amarone. For every 1 bottle of Amarone, he's allowed to produce 2 bottles of Ripasso. He doesn't have to produce Ripasso. He can leave it as normal Valpolicella. But the proportion is 2 bottles of Ripasso for every 1 bottle of Amarone. The grapes for Amarone are picked first, round about even the end of August, beginning of September. The grapes for Amarone are picked first because it needs to be very healthy. The grapes need to have good acidity to withstand the process of drying. Amarone is very expensive for a good reason. The Amarone grapes, they're hand-picked. Any individual grapes have to be removed from the bunch that may be damaged. If there's anything, these mixing rules, Guy, are set forever. That is the law that dictates Ripasso and Amarone production. The farmer has to remove any damaged grapes singly from the bunch. The bunch is then placed in a plastic crate, big wide flat plastic crates. I'll show you afterwards what they look like when I go back to the presentation. The plastic crates are then piled up one on top of the other and dried in what we use now. It's not very romantic, but we do them in big warehouses where we control the temperature and we control the humidity. It's not romantic, but it is safe, and it makes sure that you don't lose your entire production to rot of any kind. The grapes are dried usually for 100 days, more or less. So if they're picked in September, you'd be talking about mid-December, September, October, November. So yeah, so December, the grapes would be fully dried. The grapes lose 40% of their weight in water, and then go to be fermented. A very difficult fermentation because it's winter, it's cold. We sometimes have to warm up the fermentation tanks a little bit to get the yeast, to wake the yeast up and get the fermentation going. So we've got usually temperature controlled tank doesn't just mean keeping things cool. It can mean having to warm up the wine as well, the fermentation as well. we use special tanks that highly technological, that don't extract any harsh tannins. It's a very gentle method. You don't want to extract harsh tannins. You want more soft tannins from this variety. So when you're finished with your Amarone, you press these dried. You press what's left, and you keep the dried skins. You pour over your fresh Valpolicella, which has been fermented in September, October. Even although it was picked afterwards, it's been fermented in September, October, and it's waiting. It's kept until the Amarone is finished its pressing, and then you pour your Valpolicella over, which starts off a very slight secondary fermentation. The Valpolicella therefore absorbs more color. It takes the sugar from the grape skins of the Amarone, and this increases the alcohol, the flavors, everything. It just gives you more. It's a little boost for, and this is typical of the region. By law, Ripasso has to then be aged for minimum 12 months. This particular one is aged partly in stainless steel and partly in oak wood casks, but very large casks, not barrique. We keep the barrique only for the for Amarone. The oak wood finds the wine. It adds some more complexity to it, but it doesn't give a heavy oakiness. You don't want that, really. You want the fruit to sing. You want the pure cherry fruit. Yes, thank you, Paul. So you've got a very versatile wine. I mean, it's a fairly hefty wine itself. It's got 14% alcohol. It can go with a lot of dishes. Unlike Amarone, which adapts better as a meditation wine. What I would like to do, if I may, to help you understand better the process, just very quickly. So this is Valpolicella, so up on the hills, higher than Soave or Prosecco. This is Corvina, grape variety. This is the main grape variety, so 60% of the wine that you've just tasted. Again, the high pergola training of the, and this is this gentleman here is one of our farmers, and he is placing the bunches in plastic trays. The plastic trays then are taken, these are our frutai, they're called, which is where we dry the grapes. So we've got these two huge frutai. This is the way things used to be done, which is romantic. We still have some drying facilities that dry traditionally in the in traditional drying rooms, which would have been basically the loft of the winery. But here it's a risk. You're risking, the only control would be opening and closing the windows to control the temperature and the humidity. How we do it now, and I'm sorry about the harsh reality here, I'm just about to kill all the poetry behind wine, but this is what the grapes are. They're piled up like this in huge warehouses with dehumidifiers, temperature control, and they're kept there for their 100 days. This is what they look like at the end of it. This is what you then have to press and try to ferment, which is not an easy job. So these are the dried Corvina grapes for making Amarone. These are the wooden casks that we would use. The casks in Valpolicella can be anything from 20 up to 50 hectoliters, so big ones. These are 20. This is one of our winemakers. And this is another of our winemakers here. And this, I think, probably is a 45 or something like that, or a 40. So big oak casks for the aging. And they're not new. They're several years old. We don't want a lot of wood added to the wine. We just want we want it to mellow. It's got 12 months in there to soften, to get more tobacco tones. Valpolicella itself has got a perfume of cherries and red fruits. We want a little bit of spiciness, sometimes licorice, tobacco, cinnamon, and definitely more complexity. And that's what your wooden big wooden cask. These are Slovenian oak, not French. And that's how it's aged. So we would serve it with red meat, mainly here in Veneto, or classic stews and so on. Quite a wintry dish. Okay. Won't bother trying to show you the videos because the connection's not very good. But if you would like to, we've got a couple of videos, one presenting the company and another of this year's harvest on YouTube. If you look up Cantina Riondo on YouTube, or I can send Richard the links, you can check out our videos. Okay. So let me stop sharing there. So that's our 3 wines for the night.
Okay, we're going to have to get you back to do Amarone now that you've done the Amarone chat.
Yeah.
So
yeah,
you're going to have
it's
to
worth it.
upgrade your broadband, I think. That's an excuse. Go and speak to the company and say, look, dudes, I'm going to have to do lots of these things in the near future. So upgrade my broadband package.
Yeah, I know, it's becoming more of a reality. If I was probably in the office, it would be different. But as I'm home, and where I live is not the ideal. We don't have broadband here. Absolutely not.
I like those Amarone drying racks, though. They're like, but unfortunately, it's kind of a chicken run type thing, isn't it? It's like battery chickens, but the battery grapes. But fortunately, the grapes don't care.
Exactly, the grapes don't care, and I know it's not pretty and it's not poetic and it's very industrial, but hey ho, that's the realities of modern winemaking.
But that is why your Amarone is such good value, though. I mean,
yes,
we sell Amarones from yours at £19.50 up to 35 quid.
Yeah.
The reason yours is 19.50 is because, it's the same production method.
And then there's the Reserva, of course, which is 4 years aging. And, Amarone has to be aged 2 years by law, but you've got the Reserva as well, and that's 4 years aging.
We only have 2 wines with velvet labels. That is one of them. Out of nearly 600 wines,
showy.
we have 2 wines with a seriously textural label.
Yeah.
How much is it about? It's about 25 quid a bottle, and it's got a velvet label. I mean, it's so tactile. It's lovely.
The label has to be applied by hand. It's like rolling Cuban cigars on the thighs. We've got a team that applies the label by hand, because you can't put it through the production line. Otherwise, it would destroy the label anyway. So yes, it's worth it. Worth trying. Worth the Amarone. Amarone costs a lot, but there's a reason. There's a very, very important reason for it. But Ripasso gives you a little bit of a taste of Amarone without having to spend so much.
The grazie mille. I can't speak Italian.
Grazie mille. Prego, prego. Mio piacere. Well, I'm sorry the connection wasn't so good, Richard.
It's really come back now. Honestly, it's the best it's been.
Yeah, it comes and goes. It's unpredictable, unfortunately.
It's maybe a bedtime thing. I don't know, whatever. Italian bedtime. So I'd like to say thank you very much indeed for your time this evening. And I realize it's an hour later there and you're staying up past your bedtime.
Probably, yeah, it is actually almost bedtime.
So,
no problem.
I think the wines are great. Honestly, the humble price stuff, we should sell more. I don't know why we
There you go.
don't.
Thank
Maybe
you,
it's,
Katrina.
I don't know why we don't sell anymore. We sell a lot, but we should sell more. People just, I don't know. It's
It's going with what people know. I think that Garganiga is not an easy sell. You've got to explain it to people. I think, Richard, that's
people
the
can't
thing.
pronounce it. Never mind.
No, Garganiga. Exactly.
If wine merchants can't pronounce it, what hope is there?
I don't care how you pronounce it, as long as you buy it and enjoy it. That's the main thing.
So, again,
All
thank
right.
you very much, Claire. Thank you very much, everyone, for joining us tonight. I do hope
Thank
you've learned
you,
some
yes.
stuff. I certainly have. The Frank Sinatra connection, the hand harvesting, pergolas, volcanic soils, the fact that Amarone is harvested first. All of these things are new. I learn stuff all the time. I forget, but I do learn as well. So I do appreciate you coming along tonight, and
You're very
appreciate
welcome.
tuning in. And I hope you've enjoyed the wines, guys. And I hope, for £7, that Garganiga is fantastic. The Corvina is really good. The Prosecco we sell lots of anyway. So, and the Ripasso grows on me. I actually had some olives with it, and it's fantastic with the olives. Which is now an empty plate, I'm afraid. Sorry, guys. The olives we sell that was really, really good with the olives. So, as I say, thank you very much for everyone for joining us, and we'll get you back probably January, February, whenever you're free, and we'll do the Amarone. And
sure.
So if that's all right, whenever you're free, we'll liaise. We'll liaise.
Okay.
Right.
My
Are you
pleasure.
Happy with that?
Yes. Happy with that. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you very much.
So much. Thanks for your time.
Thank you, Claire.
Bye-bye.
Thank
Bye,
you.
everybody. Thank you, Richard.